The Chargers always find a way to make easy wins difficult, and they just proved this again against the Titans. That was a win, but I'd like to call it an ugly win. Still, it counts because we are in the playoff race. But if you have watched the game, you could feel it in the locker room. You could see it on the sideline. A mix of relief, frustration, and a spark of something new. Look, this game was messy, no doubt about it. But it also felt like one of those gut check moments that tells you what kind of team you really are. A few scars got exposed, but so did some fights. Behind the scenes, there's talk about trades, tweaks, and maybe even a few surprises coming down the pipeline. And when you look at how this one played out, especially what happened on the offensive line, that chatter makes a lot of sense. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. Before we get into all that chaos, first, I want to talk about the heartbeat of this team, Justin Herbert. Once again, he showed exactly why he's the pulse of the franchise. That 27-20 win over the Titans wasn't pretty, but it was gritty, and Herbert flat out carried this team. He didn't just throw it around. He led them in rushing too, punching in a score on the ground and putting his body on the line snap after snap. That's Harbaugh ball in real life, not just a slogan. It's that old school smash mouth mentality, toughness, willpower, grit. You could see it in the film. Herbert lowered his shoulder, fighting through contact, refusing to give up on a single play. That's not just talent, that's leadership. That's the standard Harbaugh keeps talking about, and you could feel how much it meant to the team. His energy was contagious. Every scramble, every broken tackle, every first down, it fired everyone up. It's the identity Jim Harbaugh's been trying to build since day one. Aggression, resilience, conviction. You could feel it from the sideline all the way up. But here's the flip side. Those hits add up. You don't want your franchise quarterback taking full-speed shots in November and still feeling them in December. The plan isn't to put a leash on Herbert. It's to build the wall strong enough that he doesn't have to take those hits. Because when the O-line starts cracking, it doesn't matter how good your QB is. No protection means no rhythm, and no rhythm kills everything. That's why Sunday was a bit of a preview of what this offense could be, and a warning sign. Herbert can buy time, he can move chains, he can be the spark, but he can't be the whole engine forever. The team has to give him help. Now, let's talk about where that help just took a major hit, literally. So yeah, about that help. It just took a massive blow. The moment Joe Alt went down, you could feel the air get sucked out of the stadium. That one hurt, man. Cornerstone of the future, the guy you're supposed to build around for the next decade. And suddenly, he's limping off the field with what looked like a bad ankle. Every Chargers fan watching that replay knew. This was serious. And honestly, the offense felt it right away. You could see it on the very next drive. Protection started breaking down, pressure coming off both edges, Herbert getting squeezed inside the pocket. It was survival mode from that point on. When Alt left, the whole rhythm of the offense dipped. It's like the heartbeat slowed down. Now, reports are calling it a high ankle sprain, and that's about the last thing this team needed. Depending on how bad it is, that could mean weeks or even an IR stint. And that's a nightmare scenario for a team already fighting O-line injury. Let's be real. The Chargers O-line right now is hanging on with duct tape. Trey Pipkins has been managing soft tissue stuff, Rashawn Slater's done for the season, and now Alt might be out. Bobby Hart's been thrown into the fire, and Austin Deculus, let's just say he's been having a tough time in relief. It's not pretty. So you can bet the front office is working the phones. And one name that's been floating around? Evan Neal, the former first-rounder from the Giants. Now look, it's not a perfect fit, and nobody's pretending it is. But when you're desperate for bodies who can stand upright and give your QB a fighting chance, sometimes good enough is exactly what you need. Neal brings size, starting experience, and right now, availability. That matters. The sense around the league is that he wouldn't cost much either. You're not trying to find an all-pro halfway through the season. You're just trying to raise the floor so you can survive the next month. Inside the building, there's a sense of urgency. Like, we've been here before. They know what happens when they wait too long to fix the line. Herbert ends up playing hero ball and paying the price for it, and nobody wants a repeat of that. So, here's the math. The Chargers can't afford to lose rhythm again. They can't let their young QB spend the second half of the season dodging free rushers. Something has to give. Whether it's a trade or a reshuffle, help's got to come. Fast. The plan moving forward is all about damage control. Expect to see tighter formations, more help from tight ends chipping on the edge, and backs scanning inside out in pass pro. You'll probably see more quick game stuff too. Stick routes, slant flat combos, spacing plays that keep Herbert ahead of the sticks. When defenses start crowding those looks, that's when they'll dial up the shot plays off max protection. It's going to be about buying Herbert time, keeping him upright, and making sure the offense doesn't fall apart while they figure out how to survive without Alt. And that ties perfectly into the next big piece, the run game, which has quietly become the Chargers' safety valve. I know it hasn't been perfect. Early in the season, it looked shaky, inconsistent, maybe even lost at times. But lately, you can see it starting to click. And a big reason for that is rookie running back Kimani Vidal. This kid has been such a spark. He runs with patience, finds the hole, presses it just long enough to make defenders commit, and then boom! He finishes through contact. You can tell his style fits exactly what Jim Harbaugh wants. Downhill, physical, no-nonsense football. Every snap this rookie takes, he's earning trust. And if Omarion Hampton comes back healthy after the bye, that 1-2 punch could give the offense some serious balance. Because let's be real, Herbert can't be your leading rusher every week. You just can't build a season that way. You need the run game to keep defenses honest, to open up play action, to take some of the hits off your quarterback. Now, the coaching staff has been adjusting quietly, leaning into what actually works. You've probably noticed it. More downhill gap runs when the surface looks good, and wider zone looks when they can marry it with play action. They're also moving Herbert around more, using bootlegs and sprint outs to punish defenses playing tight man coverage. When linebackers turn their backs, Herbert's athleticism makes them pay. The front office gets it too. You can feel the urgency there. GM Joe Hortiz and Harbaugh are in lockstep right now, staring down the trade deadline, trying to decide where to pull the trigger. Do you reinforce the run game? Do you invest in another back? Or do you pour every resource into fixing the offensive line once and for all? The buzz around the league says they're leaning toward the trenches, and honestly, that's the right call. Protect Herbert first. Everything else flows from there. You can add another back, sure, but if your QB's under siege, it won't matter who's running behind him. Harbaugh said it himself this week. Complementary football is the key. The defense, special teams, offense, all three units need to work together, even if they're not perfect. The defense can shorten fields, special teams can pin opponents deep, and the offense just needs to avoid shooting itself in the foot. You start a drive at your own 33 instead of your own 25, and suddenly the second down feels a whole lot different. That's how you win ugly, by being synced physically and situationally smart. And speaking of smart, let's circle back to Justin Herbert, because everything, absolutely everything, still revolves around number 10.
When Herbert threatens the edges like that, it changes everything. Corners stop jumping slants because they're worried about the sprint out comeback. Linebackers hesitate before blitzing because they know if he escapes, they're toast. Those little moments, that half second of hesitation, they turn into big plays, first downs, and sometimes touchdowns. And that's what Harbaugh loves. A quarterback who doesn't just play hard, but plays smart. That's the Harbaugh ball mentality in real time. Physicality with discipline. Aggression with control. You saw it especially in the red zone. That's where a team's real identity shows up. The Chargers want to be that team that still dictates terms even when the field shrinks. Heavy personnel, motion before the snap, quick tempo before defenses can adjust, then boom, punch it in behind double teams or sneak Herbert around the edge. When the line is banged up, that gets trickier, but you can still create leverage with smart formation. You shift, you motion, you overload a side, you get your tight ends involved. That's how you steal yards when you don't have your best five up front. It's not about style points anymore. It's November football. It's about who stays on their feet when the game turns grimy. Now this week inside the building, the message is crystal clear. Stabilize protection, lean on the rookie back, and let Herbert set the emotional tone without making him do everything. Add a body in the trenches if the deal makes sense, but coach the guys you've got like they're the ones you're taking into January. That's the mindset now. Keep it tight, keep it disciplined, keep it physical. Clean up the penalties, tighten substitutions, execute in key moments. Because look ahead, and believe it or not, the path is still there. Yeah, the AFC is crowded. There's not a ton of margin for error. But if this team can stack 4 clean weeks, get a little healthier, and maybe pull off one smart roster move, they've got a real shot to make noise. That's how the Harbaugh era works. Every game feels like a playoff. Urgency without panic, aggression with guardrails, physicality without recklessness. The talent is real. The margin is razor thin. The opportunity is right now. So yeah, the Chargers made this one way harder than it needed to be, but maybe that's exactly what they needed. Herbert showed captain's grit, Joe Alt's injury exposed the major weakness, and Kimani Vidal gave us a glimpse of balance. And Harbaugh's vision, that old-school blue-collar brand of football, is finally starting to show up. The clock's ticking. The decisions they make in the next couple of weeks will shape January. So Bolt fans, what would you do? Do you push all the chips in for an offensive tackle right now? Or trust the guys in the room and protect that future capital?